Hello, bonjour, namaste, ni hao, and ohio, everybody. What is going on? It is Gail right here. Welcome back to the YouTube channel once again for another Danmachi Memoria Freese video. And today we are celebrating the 6th anniversary of Danmemo. Now you might be wondering, Gail, well, the anniversary started like 6 days ago. What do you mean by we're celebrating the anniversary of Danmachi Memoria Freese? Well, today, the 19th of June, is the actual anniversary day for Danmachi Memoria Freese. In 2017, the game released on the 19th of June, and as a result, today is the actual anniversary date. Now, of course, thanks to that, we have a special newsletter to read through, basically going over some details, and along with that, they have dropped a letter by Omori Sensei himself regarding Danmemo. So we're gonna go through that. We're gonna go over all of this. We're gonna give you guys my thoughts on what I think about this newsletter, Danmemo 6 years on, as well as Omori Sensei's thoughts. So of course, if you guys going to enjoy this video, please be sure to leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel for more Danmachi and Danmachi Memoria Freese content, and of course, let me know in the comment section down below what are your thoughts on Danmemo, and more so than that, what are your thoughts on Omori Sensei's letter? I'm very curious to see what you guys have to say down below in the comment section, and we can get a bit of a discussion going on in there, hopefully. Now, before we get into the newsletter and of course this news page in itself and the letter, of course, from Omori Sensei, yesterday at around 2 p.m. UK time, which would have been around 11 p.m. JST, 11 p.m. JST, midnight JST, they hosted a live stream actually counting down to the anniversary date. They started at 11 p.m. JST and ended at around midnight and a half, basically, in Japan time. So they were basically going over all the older anniversaries and, you know, talking about some key points. Unfortunately, because I'm not that fluent in Japanese, I'm at a very beginner level, unfortunately. I couldn't really understand what they were going on about, to be quite honest, more so than just getting a general idea of exactly what they were talking about. But I would have loved to know more because, you know, development when it comes to these gacha games is so different from one game to another that I was very curious to see how Danmemo's development actually worked. Now, of course, since we couldn't understand yesterday's live stream, they do have something coming out in written format. They have an interview with both Omori Sensei and the Danmemo development team coming out later this month. Now, we already know about this because of the anniversary live stream, but they doubled down on it, saying that in Dengeki Online, they will be releasing an interview between Omori Sensei and the Danmachi development team as well. So I'm very much looking forward to that. I will be covering it on the channel when we do get that article officially in our hands, and I'm very much interested to see what they have to say in that interview, because it's going to be very interesting to see exactly what they're thinking about Danmemo over the last 6 years. Certain things have been done, certain things couldn't have been done. Maybe it was down to the production committee saying no, because sometimes some of these creative groups and production teams like Shueisha, SD Creative, and so on and so forth, they have a very hard grip over these development teams and what they can and can't do. They rule with like an iron fist, basically. So unfortunately, some things may have been not allowed, some things may have been allowed. So hopefully we get more insight into stuff like that in that article and interview in a couple of weeks time. I'd say it'll come out maybe by the end of next week, possibly, right? So anyways, let's go over this news page that is in game. By the way, you can actually read it for yourselves in game. Thank you for 6 years in Japan. Of course, it's 6 years in Japan. It's only 5 years in the US version of the game. We'll reach our 6 years at the start of next year, March 2023, of course, right? So that's something to bear in mind. Thanks to your support on the 6th, on the 18th of June, they're using the American dating method. The 18th of June, 2023, Sunday PST, Danmachi Memoria Freese will celebrate the 6-year release. Now, of course, in Japan time, that would be the 19th, basically. To thank all the adventurers who enjoyed playing Danmemo these past 6 years, we will give 1,000 iris away when you first log in. Distribution period is already mentioned here, 15th of June to the 14th of September. Yeah, September, that is. So this is basically them saying the 1,000 iris we got on the 15th of June, we'll continue to get that until the 14th of September if you are logging in for the first time in a long time. Once you get it, that's your 1,000 iris obtained. You're not going to get it every day. Don't think of it as them giving it every day. It's when you first log in, you'll get that 1,000 iris between this time period, basically. For the 6th anniversary, we will be hosting luxurious campaigns to coincide with a 3-part great tale or Gion saga, basically. So, of course, 6th anniversary about Orgion saga and message from the author. This is what we're here to see, and this is what we're here to read. So, let's start off with the about Orgion saga first and foremost. An accompaniment of countless clashing blades, a chorus of pandemonium and terror, a hymn of destruction awakens the dark altar. A hero pushes the limits of his tenacity, a girl becomes one with her forbidden power, and a fairy chooses to take a stand once more. Throughout the city, a symphony heralds the end. Ennio steps onto the podium, conductor of the Orgion saga. An army of nameless heroes make their final charge to protect the world, to silence the song of destruction, to put an end to this age of madness. Damn it, if I just made that right with the silence the song of destruction, I would have made it sound so much cooler. Anyways, this is the synopsis to the Orgion saga tale in itself. Of course, if you want to watch my reaction to the story itself, because I did do a reaction to the story, the live stream is already up and public for watching. I will also be uploading my reaction to the story in separate parts, in about 3 parts, I would say. I'll be splitting it up into 3 parts, and I'll be uploading it onto YouTube as individual videos. So if you want to check it out in that regards, it'll come out later today, so you can watch it, of course, in its entirety. But I will be uploading part 1 today, part 2 tomorrow, and then so on and so forth. So it'll be 3 parts most likely. I'm not gonna try and split it up into 4 parts if need be. All right. Okay, so that is, of course, the synopsis to Orgion saga, which is, of course, the current tale for the 6th anniversary. Let's see what Omori Sensei has to say. Once this is all over, we'll go, I promise. Thanks to your support, Danmachi Memoria Freese is now celebrating its 6th anniversary, and yet sadly, Danmemo's story will also soon reach its conclusion. So in this last ever anniversary event, what kind of story should I tell? As I pondered that question, one choice stood out to me: the finale of the City Destroyer arc, Sword Oratoria Volume 12. Prior to release, the director approached me with a passionate request. He said, "We'd like to show users epic stories featuring not just the Hestia Familia, but Aiz and her comrades as well." Later in our meetings, the producer told me with the same conviction, we want to make Lafia one of the main protagonists of Danmemo. So, prior to release, this is of course prior to the release of the game, they're saying, not the anniversary. This is not just the anniversary, this is prior to the release of the game in itself. It's very interesting that the director was so passionate about the fact that Aiz and her comrades, the Loki Familia, should have been a key member or a key focal point of the game, and so is Lafia. And I mean, to be fair, that's exactly what happened. I mean, if you take a look at Danmemo, I'm opening up the game right now, and you take a look at the album, for example, right? It's crazy to see how many units we've gotten for the Loki Familia members in general, and of course more so than anything else, how many units we've gotten for Aiz and Lafia, of course, right? And of course, if you know, you know that when we look at the lobby screen, we can have Belle as the moving character, you can have Aiz as the moving character, or you can have Lafia as the moving character. And of course, Danmemo is probably the only game or only form of media that has obviously voice performances for Sword Oratoria stories. So that's also something to bear in mind. So clearly that was the direction they wanted to go in. Now, of course, when it comes to the anniversaries, we've only had one anniversary primarily featuring the Loki Familia, and specifically Aiz and Lafia, right? And that is the first anniversary, because the second anniversary was, of course, surrounding Argonaut. The third anniversary was focusing around the Astrea Familia more so, and of course Zard and Althea and the Evilist members, right? Of course, we did have the Loki Familia obviously playing a big part in there, but even the Freya Familia was there. They played a very secondary role basically in that storyline, right? Which was the third anniversary. Then in the fourth anniversary, it was again focusing around the Hestia Familia, and then the fifth anniversary was again back in the Age of Heroes again. So we've never really had a story and an anniversary dedicated to the Loki Familia. So it makes sense that they wanted to go with something regarding the Loki Familia this time around, especially when it's the final and the finale, I should say, for Danmemo's storytelling experience, right? Of course, it's not the end of Danmemo. We'll still have new units and stuff, but the end of Danmemo's storytelling events, effectively, right? New storytelling events, right? So it makes sense that they wanted to go with the Loki Familia, of course. And like I said, when SO12 came out and we were talking about how it's kind of ironic. We started with a anniversary featuring Loki, Loki Familia and Hestia Familia, but of course, primarily we saw it featuring Belle, Eyes, and Lafia, and now we're coming back in full circle with a event that kind of focuses on Eyes, Lafia, and Belle as well. So that's something for us to kind of say, like, okay, it makes sense, going in full circle, kind of interesting in that regards, right? But yeah, basically, it makes sense that, why we're seeing the Loki Familia and Sword Oratoria 12 get such a big push for the anniversary rather than some other story that we thought would have made more sense, maybe, or we would have preferred at the very least, right? We would have definitely preferred Zeus and Hera. We would have preferred Albert and Arya. We would have preferred something unique and original rather than SO12. That being said, though, I still would have preferred maybe something different compared to SO12 featuring the Loki Familia, but, beggars can't be choosers. This is what we got. Alright, let's see what we got here. That's when I realized I could finish in Danmemo what I started with the Sword Oratoria anime. I could bring the fans a fitting conclusion to the Sword Princess and her allies' Oratoria. Now that's very interesting because, of course, Danmemo actually released around the same time as the Sword Oratoria anime released, right? 2017, 2018, that's when Sword Oratoria came out, the anime that is. So in that regards, I guess it makes sense that, Danmemo's storytelling started with Sword Oratoria and it's ending with Sword Oratoria. So it kind of makes sense in that regards as well, to be fair, that, that is the case, of course, right? Of course, one thing I will also add about this part, right, is I personally, this is where I feel like it's a little bit perspective based and subjective, because I know some people actually told me this in my comment section when I wasn't very happy with the fact that SO12 was the choice of anniversary, right? I remember people told me in the comments, well, Danmemo has been focused on Sword Oratoria for a very, very long time. And of course, we've had all these original stories and stuff, but SO has been a key integral part to Danmemo. So for them, if this is the final story that they can write, makes sense for them to do SO12. And at that time, I personally was a little bit like, I don't know about that, because I felt like Danmemo had always, focused more so on the original stories, and SO was like an add-on thing that they were allowed to do, because we only started getting the adaptations for the volumes for Sword Oratoria later on in the game's life cycle. I think around the second anniversary or after the second anniversary was when we started getting Sword Oratoria adaptations that was post the anime, right? Because we already got the anime adaptation in the start of 2018. But when it came to the adaptation for the actual novels that haven't been in anime format, that was way later on. So I don't know. I feel like, I mean, you could kind of make it subjective, but I guess Omori Sensei was definitely leaning towards what the other guys were saying in regards to the fact that SO was such an integral factor with Danmemo. Okay, let's keep reading on. I'm gonna stop interjecting Omori Sensei here. Looking back on it now, I feel like I was able to tell more stories through Danmemo than I could have ever hoped to. So to the very end, and with the deepest of gratitude, I will continue to pour my heart and soul into this project alongside all the staff and cast. I hope that you will join us one more time to watch over Eyes and Lafia at the end of their journey. Let's go and see the crown of light together. Someday, somewhere, I hope that I can gaze upon that crown of light with all of you by my side. Fujino Omori, original author. I mean, I like this letter. It's a very nice and sweet letter, of course, right? I know some people will be disappointed by it. Some people will be happy about it. Some people will feel nostalgic. Some people will feel kind of sad, because, I mean, this is... You can tell that this is the end, right? I mean, a lot of people are saying that Danmemo is going to shut down after the anniversary. It's not, but we do know that the end is inevitable, right? A lot of people are treating it as if the end is next month, and for a lot of people, they're just jesting it in fun, of course. But I would say that for a lot of new players, don't say it like that, because they're new to the game and they're just starting out. Let them enjoy the game as much as possible. And of course, we still have reruns of anniversaries to come and everything. So for me personally, I feel like, you know, this is definitely the end. I mean, when the letter was being shown in the live stream, of course, there was another letter. I don't think it was the same letter, right? I think it was a different letter written by Omori Sensei, to the VAs and everybody, of course, on the anniversary live stream a couple of days ago. I'm not talking about yesterday's live stream. This letter was shown in yesterday's live stream. But a couple of days ago, when we had the anniversary live stream on the 13th of June, Lufia's VA actually read Omori Sensei's letter, and it felt a lot more personal, and it felt like a goodbye. And it's the same thing here. It feels like it's a goodbye, and hope to see you soon, of course. And I'm pretty sure we'll see him soon in Danmachi Battle Chronicle, and probably the next Danmachi game that'll come out by NeoWiz. But, you know, Danmemo has always felt like a passion project, not only just for the developers and the producers, but for Omori himself. Like he said here, he was able to tell way more stories through Danmemo than he could have ever hoped to. I don't think half the stories that he told in Danmemo would have ever been published. Argonaut, Astrea Record, the Winter's Reverie tale that is a manga now. These are stories that you'd never have thought that would have been, you know, put into the public, right? These are stories that would have never seen the light of day, in all honesty. So it's kind of nice to see how much Danmemo has not just been a outlet for Omori, not just for the developers, but also for Omori Sensei himself, and also for us to be able to experience all these stories has been phenomenal, right? I think that's one of the key parts you have to admit Danmemo has done exceptionally well. I don't know. And the thing is, right, a lot of people are saying Battle Chronicle should be able to do the same thing, or the next Danmachi game should do the same thing, but it depends on the developers, to be honest. I feel like it depends on the developers. It depends on the chemistry the developers have with Omori Sensei. Clearly, there's a very, very, very good working relationship between the developers and the author of the series with Omori Sensei for Danmemo, right? Whereas maybe Battle Chronicle might not be the same way. Maybe the next Danmachi game may not be the same way, because he's going to have to generate these links and relationships completely anew with those new developers. So it may go well, it may not go well. Who knows? So we have to treat this like we've been given a gold mine when it comes to the stories in Danmemo compared to what may happen in Battle Chronicle, or what may happen in the next Danmachi game made by NeoWiz, whatever name they give that game. But yeah, I mean, it's something that we have to admire and respect. Of course, I know a lot of people are still disappointed about the fact that it says so 12 and everything. Honestly, I kind of have just gotten over it, because I've just been enjoying the story, to be quite honest. I reacted to the story live. Once again, you guys will see my reaction later on in video format, or you can watch the live stream in its entirety. But I genuinely felt so hype when I was reading the story, and I was just listening to the voice acting performances. It was unbelievably well done. Honestly, it was so well done, and I'm very much looking forward to part 2 and part 3. Yeah, I mean, absolutely fantastic, absolutely fantastic. All right, let's move on and see what else is here. Danmemo's 6th anniversary project begins. This is the project. Yeah, we already know this. We already know this. Of course, I'm gonna just click this as well, by the way, and show you guys this as well, before you guys keep asking in the comments. I've had a lot of comments about when is part 2 coming out and stuff like that. These are the dates for part 2. Part 2 starts on the 19th of July. 16th of August is when part 3 will begin. These are the dates where we will also be getting the new units and stuff like that. The units and their skills will probably be 2 days before this specific date, but these are the dates when the second part and third part will begin. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section regarding Omori Sensei's letter, and of course 6 years of Danmemo. Once again, appreciate all of y'all for tuning in on this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take it easy, everybody. Bye bye.